So I'm scrolling through my YouTube comments and I saw a comment the other day and I so wanted to respond on it, but I can't find the comment to flash it on the screen. But the comment was based upon my asthma. I reversed my asthma. I don't know if you're allowed to say cured with the medical society. I don't think anything really cures anything besides so-called drugs, according to the pharmaceutical industry. But I was on drugs my whole life until I was 28 years old for asthma, and I wasn't being cured. Once I got off of drugs, I did cure myself. I reversed my asthma. So I want to talk a little bit about that because a lot of people keep asking me, Marcus, how'd you do it? How'd you do it? And I have several videos on YouTube that talk about reversing my asthma and what worked for me. So somebody commented the other day, goes, well, it's super important to get wheat out of your diet. You can't reverse asthma without getting wheat or gluten out of your diet. So I want to let everybody know that I did reverse my asthma and I had wheat and gluten in my diet. I did not give wheat and gluten up. I've always been a big fan of whole wheat or whole grains. I know they've gotten a bad rap over the years. Dr. Mercola just did a great piece the other day where he's actually now saying, hey, there's a lot of great benefits of whole grains and whole wheat. So you should look into safely reintroducing that stuff into your diet. But back to asthma. I read a book years ago by Dr. Majad Ali. It's here somewhere on my bookshelf. And he's a doctor out of New York City, an Indian doctor. And he talked about an asthma, that asthma, to help with asthma, it's super important to do bowel cleansing, colonics cleanses, colon cleanses, to really get your digestive tract back in action. And he explained the toxicity in there could be part of the problem, or it relates to toxicity to asthma. But of course, newborns are born with asthma and they don't have the toxicity in their gut like that. But for adults, he says that's very beneficial. So what did I do specifically for my asthma? Well, I changed my whole diet. I changed my whole thought process, my whole mind. I was the kind of person until I was 28 years old who had to, when I walked out of my house, if I didn't have my asthma spray in my pocket, that alone would trigger an asthma attack. I couldn't run a quarter of a mile on the track because that would trigger an asthma attack. So being physical like that, the mental aspect, the nervousness, just nerves alone would give me an asthma attack. And just cold weather would give me an asthma attack. Walking outside in 10 degree or 20 degree weather, just breathing that cold air in would give me an asthma attack. And I dealt with this for years. And like I said, until I was 28 years old. In fact, every other winter I'd have pneumonia. And sometimes every other winter I'd be in the hospital because of pneumonia. And it was really frustrating. One year I had pneumonia twice. And really what asthma is this suppressed immune system. And once I did all this research, I was like, I think I can do this. I've read other people that have reversed and cured their asthma. I think I can do this. So here's what I did. I became a vegetarian. I cut out all white flour, white rice, things like that. I cut out refined sugars or highly processed sugars because I included maple syrup and brown rice syrup. Those are refined sugars, but they're not highly processed as white table sugar. So I cut out all the white table sugar. I really watched what I was eating, and I started exercising. But here's the most important thing for me was I put my asthma spray away, and I had to work through asthma attacks. What I found personally worked for me or what wasn't working for me growing up, was the more I used my asthma spray and my nebulizer, the more I was addicted to it and the more I needed it. It was like the pharmaceutical drugs, the pharmaceutical companies knew that, hey, I need this to breathe, but while I'm taking this, I'm only gonna need it again down the road. So I thought this was a vicious cycle, knew this was a vicious cycle to break and say, I've got to stop this cycle of relying upon my asthma spray. So I did a lot of mental preparation for that. I did a lot of exercises where I was imagining myself as having clean and clear lungs. And as I started to exercise and I started to run, and I now run marathons, I run ultra marathons, and this was something I never was able to do as a kid, even into my late 20s. I was never able to run. Now 2 years ago I ran 2,000 miles and I ran 8 marathons in 1 year. All asthma free, by the way. I'm 43 years old now. I gave up my asthma at 28. So, and I have not had any asthma attacks since. If I feel a shortness of breath, which very, if I can count on one hand how many times it's happened in the last 15 years, 16 years. A little coffee works well. The caffeine actually dilates your lungs and opens up and creates air, it creates a passageway for air to go in. And I like to tell people that if you're at that point where you're trying to put that asthma spray away and trying to put the medicines away, coffee works amazing. A little bit of espresso, a little bit of regular coffee, but you need the caffeine in it to do that. And I really didn't do it that much back then when I was 28, something I know more now of. But I think the quick question in the beginning here was that wheat is absolutely necessary to improve asthma, giving up wheat. And for me, that was not the case at all. My wife just walked in. She got rid of her asthma, what, 7, 8, 9 years ago, Jamie?
Something like that, yeah.
Did you give up wheat?
No.
No, you didn't give up wheat.
No, I don't.
You watched your wheat intake.
Yes.
But you didn't give up wheat 100%.
Right.
No. So both of us, we still kept eating whole wheat, whole grains in our diet, and we became asthma free. So eat right, do a lot of cleansing, do a lot of juicing. We did a lot of juices, a lot of smoothies, and we still do juices and smoothies. But back then, we were really, really cleansing. The more effort you put in this, the more gains you're going to get for all of your health, okay? So juicing, making smoothies, eating lots of greens, eating raw foods, whole foods like that, only helps every aspect of your health. I'm Chef Marcus Guiliano. Thanks for watching. If you like my videos, please hit like, subscribe to my channel, and definitely pass this on.